Doing shit right now, doing the thing. She gonna be on Netflix or whatever. Catch her now before she $200 a ticket to see. Make some noise. Go crazy for Leah Sampson.
There I am. Thank you. Is it for me? That's for me? Hi, everybody. How's it going? Cool. Give it up for the 2 other black people in Austin. Yeah, there's 4 of us total. And I saw them 2 pulled up. I was like, another hurricane? Learn how to swim. No, I'm doing, you laugh too hard, racist. I'm doing great. I'm getting older, I am, which is just what people in their 20s say when they start using condoms. I am getting older, and you know, like I said, I'm taking more advice from people that are older than me to survive. When I started comedy, I had just moved here to Austin from Houston. I had broken up with my first real boyfriend at like 21 years old. And Houston is just like big and it's multicultural, and I call it like the New York of the South. I came here and it was just like small town with big city energy. And I just really didn't feel like I fit in at all. I've always been funny. I've always been like the class clown, that kind of thing. Being funny has always just like come naturally to me. I was working at this bar and I was just always like, just make jokes with the regulars there. And then one day they were like, you're really funny. Like you should they're like, no, like you're like comedically funny. Like you sound like you write jokes. And so for like a week, the same people kept coming in every day and they're like, are you doing that open mic? Are you doing that open mic? And I was like, no. And then one day they're like, it starts at 9 o'clock and everybody at the bar was like, you going? And they're like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, it. I went to the mic, I did the jokes, and they worked. So I just started just watching comedy, like just seeing what that really is. You know, because I'm like, I'm funny, but what's stand-up funny? And I started meeting the comics. That was like when I started feeling like, okay, I think I found like my people, you know, like where I belong.
Let's see, okay, this is from Wedding Day. This is teenage years in Houston. Quality is just so great. It was really a sink or swim moment for her. And it wasn't a pretty time. It's hard to make that move away from like your family or like your lifelong friends when you kind of have like that safety net and then go to a different city. Being a comedian is like a hard path to go down. It's not concrete, it's not steady pay, it's, you know, you're really hustling. As someone who loves her very dearly, like, I know that like in our early 20s, I questioned it a lot. Why chase a dream that might not be able to give you the stability that you need to survive?
I'm looking for foundation, but they never have my color. So that's the issue of trying to get foundation, and foundation is the base, okay? Without foundation, there's no success. That's where it stops. I cease to exist. This is their darkest color. So a suburban Puerto Rican. We'll do this one. There's just not a lot of Black people in Austin. Like, everybody knows that. There's definitely times I feel unseen, unheard, misunderstood. My experience in this city and just in comedy in general is very different. Up, up, up. Walk, 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 walk. Good job, high five. Boom. All right, go be a dog. no más. There's already the stereotypes of being a comedian, just in general, whether you're a man or a woman. And then it's like that added with the stereotype of being a black person and then the stereotype of being a woman. I'm getting all that. I'm getting that smoke every day, every single day. When I, write my jokes, I have to think like, is this smart enough? Is it too smart? Is this too this? Is this too that? Are they going to relate to this? Are they, It makes me want to work harder. So, and I do. As a black woman, I have to work 14.7 times harder than any other comedian just to even be respected as much as somebody that's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just my reality. Why don't you want to move? Come on. When I'm running errands, I'm like no makeup, no hair, no nothing, just like little Bill in the streets, taking care of business. I like the excitement of becoming like a character. When I'm on stage, like that's me, but it's like a different side of me. And that's the side of like the hair and the wigs and the makeup and I like that. I like looking like all day long, and then 8 p.m. it gets real, There we go.
Very rowdy, Lena, just so you know.
Yeah, uh-oh.
Very talkative. I would say maybe don't address the talk because it's all they're all talking.
All right, got
Just
it.
power through. I had fun with them.
Cool.
I think you'll do fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
This next to me is a very funny, very good friend of mine. Please give it up for Leah Sampson.
All right, yes, you got it right. I used to be a stripper, correct. The problem is I got fired, of course, same day because I have too many opinions, is what the boss said. And I was like, that's wild. I thought the strip club was supposed to be a fantasy world, not the real one. But what's wild is people say that girls that strip have daddy issues, and I feel like fathers are a little bit like herpes. They both have to be present to be a problem. You know what I'm saying? All right, Beltrax crowd, love that. Talked about porno earlier. I hate porno. It's not realistic. I don't like it. I watch a little weird kind of porn. I like the porn that's like man opens door for a woman. That's my kind of Thank you guys so much. I've been Leah Sampson. Have a good night.
Leah Sampson, give it up for her.
Jeez. That crowd was rowdy. I feel like I just left the strip club for real. Like I just my back. Damn, like you gotta just steamroll through that kind of crowd. Like you said, you gotta either do just crowd work. When they're that chatty, you gotta just do crowd work or just make them your bitch.
The Austin comedy scene, like people are hungry for comedy here.
And because the scene is growing, you can do shows 7 nights a week. There's always something going on all over town.
I like the Austin scene a lot.
This whole crowd right now is all comics, yeah.
Yeah. I moved from LA to here because of like the economics of it.
I wrote a joke about my today, and it took me 4 hours, and I hope it works. And if it does work, it doesn't make me a hero.
Please don't cancel us.
There are more stand-up comedians here than there were 5 years ago, without question. You're gonna expect probably about 80% of them to be white guys.
Our next comedian coming up to stage, very funny guy.
Numbers-wise, you're gonna expect about 100% of them to talk about their I don't know what to tell you.
One of my favorite things to do was to measure my penis.
Have you ever tried the pills?
We don't think about it as a culture, but white men are just kind of the default in comedy. You see if a white man tells you they're a stand-up comedian, you go, okay, that clicks. When I tell people I'm a stand-up comedian, they're like, really? You? It's this tightrope you have to walk, and either way, there's sharks on both sides, because if you kill it being dirty, then people say, oh, well, of course, that's what you do. It's the only thing you can do. You're only a dirty comic. And if you do really well not being dirty, they're like, yell back, and you can't win.
Yes or no, by the way?
I fast.
And she said, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's why you're here. This is why.
So many people who are not black women can talk about sex, and be raunchy and be dirty. And I think it's because it's not expected of them.
And I'd much rather see comedy where it's like someone being vulnerable and being like, this is what I actually believe.
I was never allowed to talk about anything growing up. If I did, I was grounded or kicked out the room or left at home. My parents were very strict. Like, they didn't talk about anything. They didn't talk about anatomy, sex, nothing. So I didn't know. I didn't know that you could pee and still keep a tampon in. I didn't know that. Some chick at my job had to tell me that. She's like, you have 2 holes. I was like, what? Hold on. I was like, no, there's no, call the press. Like, there's no way. I mean, it's just interesting the things that we all do and the things that we're all supposed to do are also things we're not supposed to talk about. I don't like that.
Welcome to Libations. This is a sensual show, uplifting Afro and Latin culture, various artists, queer gender expressions. We're here to give thanks to our ancestors, all the people who lived before us and fought for our rights. We uplift our art and, our generational courage. Please give it up for one of my biggest idols, Leah Sampson! Okay, I'm in love with you.
Thank you so much. I almost wore the exact same thing. I did, but I have allergies and it's cold. I dated this younger guy. I was 25 at the time. He was 24. Ugh. But what's interesting, he actually taught me a lot, he taught me about, drinking water and, and, self-care, because he knew both of his parents. And I taught him things like, the right hole. Okay, this side has lived a life. The is going on over here? You think you're too good for these up jokes? I showered for this. I recycled this Amazon wig to be here. And y'all are too good to laugh at some joke about and is the existence of queer. Am I wrong? And sequence. You. How dare you be sparkling and not laugh? That's so disrespectful. I've been Leah Sampson, guys. Loosen up them buttholes. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Leah.
Comedy is one of the most humbling art forms that exist. You hear all the time about, a comic will be like, oh, I just opened for Louis C.K. at Madison Square Garden yesterday, and then today I bombed in front of 4 people at a hostel. It knocks you back down, every time.
The audience is rarely wrong, right? Meaning that, they're your biggest ally, telling you what's good and what's not good, what's uncomfortable, what's not uncomfortable.
Leah's voice it can be a politicized presence of what's going on, plus the sexual bravado, but the actual absurdness of it all. And she definitely makes it funny.
Just, the more ridiculous, the better. And surprisingly, somebody probably will think that this is real. There we go, yeah. That's so ridiculous. That's art. It's manifestation for a BBL. All this work you'll do, people will still message you and be like, so do you have a show coming up? And it's like, yeah, it's the thing I've been posting literally for 5 days in a row. Link in bio for tickets. And that's it. And now we just hope for the best. Do women orgasm? If so, how do you know? I'm just gonna mix them up and just ask whoever is on stage these questions, and they're just gonna answer it the best way they know how to. Do men cry? Do men cry, or is it pee?
I got it here. Do men cry, or is it pee?
Thank you. You can keep that.
Listen, as a medical professional, I can't spread untruthful information.
Okay, brown brag.
It is pee.
Right, because the smell.
Yeah.
It's when they cry. It's like,
It's like a litter box, yeah.
Yes.
That's why
very unattractive.
I'm not an outdoor person. I'm not an animal person. Ooh, that's always a divider. Actually, there's not that many white people. I'll just say it. I don't like dogs. Brave for Austin. Very brave. I used to say, oh, I'm afraid of dogs, but I just don't like them. I told a little black lie. Not sure if y'all familiar with it. It's just like a little white lie, except you use your heritage to make it work. For the most part, there's almost never more than one black woman on a show most of the country because the assumptions were gonna be just like each other. Like Leah and I instantly clicked, but we could feel a little bit of like not us being competitive with each other, but other people treating us like we were interchangeable. Like it was like either Jasmine could be on something or Leah could be on something, but never on the same thing. And it's kind of like black performers would joke about this because like we wouldn't see each other for months because we were never on the same shows because everybody wanted to have one black performer but never two. So like there'd be like 3 dudes named Andrew on the same show, but you couldn't have more than one black person on it. I would die. Like, I feel like everybody knows a hilarious black woman, but us being like recognized and paid to be hilarious is the new part. Simply put, all black people are allergic to dogs because of racism. Nobody's journey can be compared to anyone else's. I'm on my own journey, Leah's on her own journey. It was a good show, like the whole thing.
You did so good.
I love you. Thank you. And sometimes just the right opportunity can just shoot through like a lightning bolt and change everything in an instant, and it's just gonna be what it is.
I'm saying, you go to a comedy show, go live in city,
Not giving a is very freeing. I think being friends with Leah has helped me give less honestly. She's a whole person and not ashamed of anything.
I think me being vulnerable makes my comedy better. And I think comedy makes me be more vulnerable. Because it's like if I can go on stage to a bunch of strangers and, talk about jokes that essentially come from me and my past and things like that. And ultimately I'm doing that to make these people leave feeling happy, feeling, laughing and things like that. Why can't I try to bring that same happiness to myself? Which is a part of me being vulnerable and healing. And I feel like just learning that has made me a better comedian. Because I think just for me, the more authentic I am, the more honest with myself I am, then that's where the real good, comes out. And I've noticed that lately with like my joke writing and things. I am going through like this new phase in my life where I am actually feeling things. And it's weird because like growing up, I wasn't allowed to feel anything. I wasn't allowed to, express anything. I feel like I'm going through puberty, basically. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, what are these emotions? What are these feelings? So I'm calling my friends. I'm like, is this normal? Like, yeah, you're not dead inside, anymore. So that's been like, I guess like the biggest thing for me in the past few years. I definitely have had a lot of help from my friends. Like many comics, we have some very, very, very dark days, and these people have definitely uplifted me, and that's all I try to do with them as well. I'm always here for anyone that needs me. I know what that's like to feel alone or not feel understood or hurt or feel like you're too much. That's why my comedy show was called Too Much, because I'm like, that's what I've been told my whole life. I'm too much. And I'll be that. I'll be too much. Drama. Yes. Okay.
Keep that going for the very funny Leah Sampson!
Yeah! Oh, how sweet. What's up? You feel cool now? Because I said that to you? Cool. I just had to switch up words. I had to stop saying the F word, you know what I'm saying? Florida. But No, but like, you know, I've been reflecting on my dating habits. Like, I remember I dated this super dorky white dude in college. I did, because he worked at Chick-fil-A, you know the rest. And to be, you know, to be funny, he'd be like, oh my gosh, you're so hot. When people, that's my oppressor voice. He's like, oh my God, you're so hot. When people see me with you, they think I have a big He said that to my face, you know? I was like, okay, that's what's up, Trevor. I was like, honestly, I love that for you, because when people see me with you, they think I have a big heart. You know, it's even crazy. I said that to his face too. There really wasn't a difference, like dating black men and dating white men, honestly, except for like, I don't know, like if I took my wig off in front of them for the first time. Okay, let me educate you guys. So let's say, you know, I'll go out with a black dude. Oh my gosh, we have a great time. You know, we're, you know, dancing, all that. I bring him back to my place. I have a nice little cup of Hennessy waiting for him. Nice little drink. It's a liquor, not a dog. Okay, let's get it together. And then, you know, I take off my wig and I shake out, you know, I shake it, you know. I get out the smells of, like, you know, Swisher Sweets and Impression. And then the black dude, you know, he'll look at me and he'll be like, yo, yo, okay. I see you, little Bill, you know, and then we it's a good time. There's no questions asked, you know what I'm saying? He even puts the wig on for a little Ford cosplay, you know, it's a good time. Very enjoyable. White guy a little different, you know, we go out for the night. We have a good time, we leave the club early because he can't dance, whatever. And I bring him back to my place. I have a nice little cup of milk waiting for him, 2% because of his stomach. And then, you know, and then I take off my wig as well and I shake it and shake out the smells of, like, I don't know, a Keystone and Privilege. And then put the wig on top of a mannequin. I call her Ashley. So he's comfortable. And then he looks at me and he's like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm like, what? It's a wig, boo, you know, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, shh. You don't have to explain anything to me, queen. He's like, you don't have to explain anything to me, but you could have told me. He's like, you could have told me you have cancer. Yes, up. And it's about pretending to have cancer for free Chick-fil-A. Thank you guys so much. I've been Leah Sams. Have a wonderful night.